Hello Channel NITT viewers, I am DS, your psychologist, and welcome to another episode on Channel NITT. So in this episode, we're going to talk about NI specifically. As an ENTJ, I use NI as my auxiliary function. But as mentioned in many of my videos, I am a very high NI user. What do I mean by that? This means that I devote much more resources to NI than SE, which is my tertiary function. Under normal circumstances, your auxiliary function, which is your second function, and third function, tertiary function, should get a distribution of around 60-40 of your resources. However, for me, I devote much more resources to NI, so I am a high NI user. So the distribution could be around something like 75% and 25%. 75% of the time I use NI, 25% of the time I use SE. However, I am still a TE dom because I use TE versus FI, which is my inferior function, in the distribution of around 90-10. So ultimately, even though I use NI more, I am still using more of TE. So being a high NI user, sometimes I do wonder whether fellow ENTJs are somewhat like me, because sometimes I feel as if I am an NI dom, but not very often though. Actually, I have so many things to talk about NI, I am devoting 2 episodes to talk about NI alone. And in this episode, I'm going to talk about the good things about NI, or the more practical portions of NI. So this is the first installment of the series. I'm going to talk about how NI plays a role in my everyday life or in my past as an ENTJ. In the next installment, I am going to talk about how I will continue to use NI instead of SE. Because there is one viewer who has always been telling me or reminding me to focus more on my SE instead of my NI. So I'm going to explain in these 2 episodes why NI is so important to me. But of course, for other ENTJs, they probably would use NI and SE in a more distributed or balanced manner. So natural instinct is correct. I am a very unbalanced ENTJ in terms of my use of NI and SE. I totally favor NI.
The apple of my eye, and I love you so.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about how NI plays a role in my everyday life and in my daily functioning as an ENTJ. So since my NI is very developed, I hope that this video can also give viewers some idea how INTJs and INFJs may really function, because they are using NI exclusively. My NI is so high that sometimes I actually may behave like an INFJ or an INTJ. So NI is a mental function. A lot of times NI plays a role in my brain, in my imagination. So I imagine a lot of things. One of the things that I imagine since young would be music videos. When I was in JC, I really enjoy listening to my transistor radio. Yes, I live in the age where we use transistor radios. And I would listen to the radio station, or sometimes I have my CD or a cassette tape recorder, and I will play songs on repeat mode. And every time I hear a song, my brain or my mind will start playing a music video with me inside as the lead actor. So it's so specific that whenever I hear a song A, the same music video will play. So this is very specific. Every time I listen to a particular song, I will start to have a playback of almost the same version of the music video. There will be confetti in one, there might be train in another. It's already very well rehearsed. So every time I listen to that song, the same MTV will run. There might be some changes here and there, but it's roughly the same concept. Sometimes for a particular song, there are 2 versions of the music video in my brain. It is quite different from the actual music video of the song itself. I would really say that this kind of imagination is one of my purest enjoyment when I was much younger. Now when I listen to a song, lesser of that, imagination, but sometimes I still have this kind of imagination, imagining myself to be the lead actor of a music video. A second way I use NI a lot would be talking to people in my imagination. So what do I mean by that? So let's say I had a breakup with a particular person, I would want to talk to her. So I said, why are you doing this to me? Do you know I miss you still? Then this person would reply. I know it's weird, but maybe NI users are really like that. So I would say something like, do you know how hurt I am? I wish you know. Then the person may say, I'm so sorry, you know, the kind of thing. They just apologize. And this might go on a repeat mode. So every day I might think about the same thing. I might have a different conversation with the same person until one day I decide that, okay, I'm going to stop this. So not only do I talk to different people inside my imagination, they actually reply me using their voice. I also talk to myself. I can talk to myself from two different perspectives. I can say, hey, you DS, so silly, why are you doing this? And then I'll laugh. I say, okay, I didn't mean it. Okay, you just go away now, don't disturb me. Something like that. Or I could be talking to myself directly, like, oh, I'm so silly today. I forgot to bring my earpiece. So now I have no music. Sometimes I also talk to inanimate objects like crystals. So I assume that they have a life of their own. So I will say, would you like me to touch you today? Can I touch you today? Then they will reply, yes, and I will touch them. So in a way, for those people who do not use NI is totally weird, right? And for a lot of ENTJs, I presume that you are not so high on your NI. So you are not up to this kind of level yet. So you might even think that I'm weird. I hope you really can understand me as an ENTJ. I am an ENTJ, okay? A third thing that I use NI for is to ask weird questions. So NE has this ability to ask questions that can be answered in real life. Like, what will happen if I pull the chair? Okay, let's test it out. You pull the chair and it's a prank, right? So as an NI user, I try to conceptualize things inside my mental space that you couldn't really test out. So I might ask myself, like, if I jump out from the 27th story and then the moment I jump out I have two umbrellas, I open both of them, could I land safely? I'm not going to test that by jumping off the 27th story with two umbrellas, right? So I might just conceptualize that and I imagine what might happen. So there will be a lot of questions like that. So I might ask myself things like, if I bang my head and then I have amnesia, will I remember that I am an ENTJ? So weird questions like that. I think NE users might not really ask this kind of question. They might ask really very practical questions. I tend to ask very conceptual questions as an NI user. And I entertain this kind of imagination. So I can really understand that an INTJ or an INFJ may have a lot of this kind of private fantasies going on in their mind, because high NI users probably are like that. Of course, a fourth way I use NI is in simulation. Like for example, let's say I'm playing badminton. I try to imagine in my mind how I'm going to swing the racket and where the shuttlecock is going to and where it's going to land. So it's all inside my mind, it's a simulation, and then I try to execute it physically. Usually it just doesn't resemble what happens in my imagination. So I have a lot of simulations in my brain. So the simulation could be imagined activities like kissing a person. So it could be in preparation of what's going to happen, or it's just an imagination. So if I am preparing for a lesson for the first time and I haven't taught that thing before, I might run a simulation inside my brain, inside my mind. So if I have a new class and I have not seen these students before, I will imagine with the simulation with real faces that I have not seen. So they are real faces, they are not just like blank things. They have a face. It's just that when I enter the class, they don't look like what I have imagined. But nonetheless, they are real, normal human being faces. Another use of NI for me is that it helps me to feel whether something is going to work. So if there are a lot of solutions that TE has come up with, NI starts to filter and select which is the most probable outcome. and most of the time I will be correct. So given that I am a high NI user, I have actually trained my NI so well that now my accuracy rate is actually quite high. Somebody can tell me a proposal and I can immediately say in my mind that it's not going to work. The NI is going to be very accurate in doing this because I have been using it a lot of times. It's like a muscle that has been always used, so it is triggered to always give the correct answer. I also realized that when I play sports, especially contact sports, NI comes in. Personally, I never like sports that are non-contact based, like gymming, jogging, swimming. Those are very boring sports for me. I don't enjoy them at all. I enjoy contact sports because as an ENTJ, I am competitive and I like games. But I play not to win now, okay? Maybe. The feeling of winning is good, huh? So I really enjoy sports where there's one team versus another team or one player versus another player. Games like table tennis, badminton, volleyball. Okay, personally I really can't play that table tennis because the ball is too small and I have SI blind spot. I just always miss the ball. But for bigger balls, I am okay. So whenever I play volleyball or badminton, I engage NI exclusively. It's as if, right, 75% of the time I'm using NI to play the game. What happens when you use NI to play a sports game like that? You totally become very unpredictable. I would presume that a lot of people, when they use SE to play a game, they strategize, they want to hit a particular spot. For me, I totally don't plan, you can hit this way, that way. So when I serve the ball, for example, I just hit lor. It doesn't matter where it goes, I just let it go on its own. I don't plan where to go, or I don't aim at a particular player to serve the ball towards. So this is why a lot of people, when they play with me, they say that I'm totally an unpredictable fellow, don't know where I'm going to hit the ball. This is because I use NI exclusively or most of the time when I'm playing a sport. So fellow ENTJs, does this resonate with you as well? I'm really very curious to know because as a very high NI user, I sometimes feel like I am a very different type of ENTJ. In any case, there's another episode on NI coming out very soon. I'm going to release one NI episode talking exclusively about NI in a very spiritual sense. And on top of that, I'm going to compare SI with SE, so do watch out for that. Okay, viewers, if you have not subscribed, do consider subscribing so that we can bring you more ENTJ and MBTI. Okay, I'm going to sign off now and I'll see you in my next episode. Goodbye!